inside and I saw Fallout Episode 1, The End. It is directed by Jonathan Nolan, and if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode starts and we're following a nice, pristine 1950s circa area. It looks nice, everyone's all happy, everyone's like, ooh yeah, we're doing the 50s, woohoo. This is 2077, by the way. We're in the 50s. Woohoo! We're having a fun time. You know, the nukes could come at any time. Also, what's interesting, while everybody's having a fun time, immediately I noticed the TV. We have a TV man. He's like, what's the point of even doing any of this? What's the point of reporting on the weather if we don't know if there's going to be a tomorrow? And that's juxtaposed with everybody having a nice handy-dandy time at this nice little birthday party. And so immediately I'm like, alright, something's gonna happen here. Something does happen. Ooh boy, I really like this shot. They're in their living room looking at the TV or whatever. And then in the background, there's just a big old nuke. It's so sad because we have a nice father and daughter bonding moment. If you're afraid of the nukes, just look at it with your thumb, and if it's bigger than your thumb, uh-oh, you're doomed. If it's smaller than your thumb, run away. And then we see a little shot of the little girl with her thumb at the nuke, and it's bigger. It's like, oh no! Ah! I just got introduced to this family, this nice family, and then they're dying, and they're dead now. But then it's flash forwards to 200 plus years in the future. I forget the exact amount. It's a lot of years in the future. At least 2 centuries. And we're dealing with people in the vaults. There's a vault society. And what's interesting, this vault society is full of uppity people. They're so uppity and they're so, oh yes, we must have equality. And also just social justice things and such. And elections. We must have elections in the vaults. And I'm like, oh boy, this is okay. What about the surface world? What about that world? Nope. Who cares about that? Honestly, what's interesting about this is these vaulters are in their own little bubble until we have somebody from Vault 32? There's Vault 33. And there's supposed to be this marriage between Judy and another person from Vault 32. And then when they open the vault, and it's like nobody's there, and they go into the vault, oh, there's nobody there, everything's all ramshackled, uh-oh, there's some raiders, and bam! Looks like there's some raiders that took over Vault 32. Uh-oh, what's going to happen? Oh, no! Also, Judy's dad is like the head honcho of all these vaults. He's like the leader of the vaults or something. He's a big, high, powerful position, and so when Judy's just seeing these guys, these random people from the outside, which, by the way, they have high amounts of radiation, which is the only way she can tell they're from the surface world. High amounts of radiation. They have her dad, and they just yoink him. And there's a whole bunch of commotion. And I'm like, oh boy, so there's some people who are like, well, we shouldn't go after your father. We should stay safe in the vaults. Ooh. And I like Judy because at the beginning of the episode, I kind of didn't like her because she just seemed so naive and she's like privileged. She's so privileged. And the way that she acts is so privileged. But she's like, I'm going to find my father. I'm going to find him. I'm going to leave this vault. And everyone around her is like, no, don't leave the vault, don't leave the vault. Oh, it's all dangerous. We don't know what's up there. Ah! And she goes and leaves the vault. And then she's up in the surface world. And I'm like, alright, Judy, I'm excited to see what your journey is. And now we're following Maximus. And Maximus is up on the surface. And there's this person who's like recruited to be a squire, but then they have like knife blades in their boot and it cuts them up pretty hard. And then now it's Maximus who's brought in to be like, hey, do you do this? He's like, I thought about doing that to them, but no, I didn't do it. And I was just thinking that level of honesty should be rewarded. Nope. They're like, well, you're subject to get out of here. You even the thought about injuring a brethren? Nope. But he was like so honest about it. He's like, yeah, sure, I'll take the responsibility. And because of that, they're like, oh yeah, sure, just be this guy's squire now. And so he's assigned to Titus, and Titus sucks. He treats Maximus terribly. Doesn't treat him like a human at all. So that's the end of the second storyline. And then the third storyline was you got a bunch of these guys, right? And they're like, ooh, there's a ghoul. Let's go see what's inside this coffin. Ooh, let's see what's inside. And they open this coffin, and then there's like a hand that comes out, and it's like, what is going on? And that's pretty much the end of that episode. So I like this episode a lot because it establishes the three main storylines that we're going to be following throughout the rest of the series. It establishes Judy. I already hate her, but I do see potential in liking her. I'm actually intrigued to see how she survives the surface world, which is completely different than the vault world, by the way. Like, whew, miles different. Oh, man, I like Maximus, which is interesting. The one thing that I noticed was, like, when we have Maximus and the other person that he's talking to, I had a bit of a confusion. I had to do a double take because it was like, that's a guy, but the shoulders are as shrunken as a woman's. Like, it's not as broad as a male's shoulders. And then I was like, oh, okay, this is a trans person, which I'm fine with. It'll happen in the future, obviously. It's just like the only trans person that I see, and it makes me think maybe there'll be more in the future. Why is this the only trans person in the show that I'm seeing at the moment? Why is everybody else like biological males or females doing all their jazz? Like, why is there only one? Why is there only one? There needs to be more. Honestly, if you're going to establish that there's trans people in the future, there should be more than one. Honestly, that's just my opinion. But otherwise, I'm fine with it. This is a fine start to a show. It's got a promising start to the show. I really like this episode a lot. It's a good establishing of the characters, and it makes me want to follow the characters. So, I gotta give this episode, it's a solid 7 out of 10. If you like this review, watch another one on the platform really likes that. If you want to fast track a movie review, you can do that for $20 Dinos at patreon.com/ASEPresents. And if you'd like to help support the daily grindiness of all them daily movies, go to this link tree, find the way you can help support the daily grind of all them daily movies. So you can go here. And until next time, I'm mint salad sauce. See you later, my side croutons and bacon bits. And I'm gonna leave my vault now. Adios.